Hey everyone, my name's Carlo, and today we're going to be looking at PSPaudioware's InfiniStrip, a really cool suite of processor plugins that never ceases to amaze me. I've been using these for about 6 months myself here, and I'm going to show you how it works for me and how you can utilize it in your own mixes right away. It's really elegant, really fast, and super powerful. So let's get started. Now, basically what the InfiniStrip is, it's a virtual 500 series lunchbox suite of processors, which means you've got these individual modules here that you can select and arrange in any signal flow pattern that you want. Now there's about 24 of them in total, and if you want to see them, come to this infinity sign, select it, and here we've got all of the processors that are available to us. And while we're there, come to settings, you can go to full mode. And this is exactly how large the processing box is. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 inserts here that you can customize your signal flow with using all of these included modules. And the best part about it is, just like it says right here, zero latency processing. I don't know how they do it, but I'm glad they do. It literally happens without taxing your computer at all. And the results are stunning. So why don't we get started here? Let's take a look at the fundamentals. I'm going to play a little bit of audio here just so we can see it in action. Now, I've chose this mix because it's an older mix and it really needs some rescuing, and we're going to do it all using the InfiniStrip processing suite of plugins here. Now, why don't we get started? Let's have a little bit of fun. And typically in a normal mix, I wouldn't solo so much, but in this video, I want to stress that it's the process I want to highlight here. How to use InfiniStrip and what the results can give you. But of course, when you're mixing, you can impart your own personality and things. Let me open up my bass guitar here. And you'll see that I have it inserted, but there are no processing. So I'm going to start from scratch. Now, sometimes you could choose your full view mode if you want, or a mini mode, which is really cool. It gives you smaller icons representing each, or the resizable view mode, which I seem to like. It literally enlarges and builds as you add units to it. Why don't we start with something like a texture of a preamp? Now, here we've got a 60 style preamp. What this is going to do is it's going to impart the sonic characteristics of a traditional 1960s style preamp. And it's sought after for its musicality and its warmth. Let's take a look at some of the other modules. You can scroll here with these two arrows. Here's a 70s style, an 80s style, and a 90s style. So you got 4 decades of different flavors of preamps, characters you can overlay over your signal. Let's solo my bass guitar. And a couple of these settings in these preamps I really come to appreciate, and one of them is the auto gain. If you engage this, it'll automatically set and ride the gain for you. When this is set to down, it'll only pull levels down, and up and down, it'll ride it up and down for you. Let's take a listen to the bass guitar a little bit. There we go. There you can see how the automatic gain kicked in immediately. Now our drive is going to impart some of that tonality characteristics. Let me tweak that up a little bit here to about 7. And you can actually add some analog noise to this if you wanted to really bring in the 60s, if you will. And let's bypass that. So you can hear how it's affecting the gain. It's riding it down for us. But you can set the reference level here. And this reference level is going to be the target volume you want to go for. Okay? So once you set the reference level, the automatic gain is going to work together with that. And here's without the auto gain. And here's with. So it's going to ride that gain for us. It's a little tip. I think this feature works really great on bass guitars. So let's continue. Let's keep building our signal flow here. Now for filters, if you got a basic filter, what this will do is take off, sweep some lows or some highs for you, as it says it does. But we also have some pro filters, and it does side chaining as well. Let's come to a Pro filter, move it over here a little bit, and this is where we can begin to carve out some of the frequencies if we wanted. For example, with our high pass engaged, let's take a listen to this. Let's see. Let's say I want to roll off everything under about 50 there. Now, if you notice these modules, they each have their own independent set of features, which are super easy to use and explainable. Coming down here at the bottom, you see it's got a mute and a solo. I could actually mute the individual module at any time to hear the difference without it, and solo so I can independently focus on what it's doing to my mix. Let's try that. Let's do the mute and solo right now. Okay, let me mute. See, we're rolling off some of that low end. Let's solo this so it'll play that filter without the 60s preamp. And here's with it back in. And underneath each one of these modules, you've got presets here. Okay? You could scroll through them like this. Electric guitar, basic, piano, horn. See that? Overheads and such. Now, these are they're not arbitrary. They're really carefully crafted. So take some time, experiment with them a little bit, and we'll get into more presets in a little while. Let's keep building our signal flow here. Now, how about a compressor? Next in our signal flow chain, we just added a compressor. So it's going to hit our preamp, a little bit of filtering here, which you could actually add before the preamp if you wanted, into a compressor. Optical compressor is really great. It's kind of a slow style bass performance. This might work. Effect compressor is a little bit quicker. And why don't we try, let's check out some of these presets here. Let's go to some soft compression. And we'll write our threshold to set our settings. Let's take a listen to this. Really easy to use. There. Now, another module that I absolutely love in my bass settings, and we'll get into all of these, trust me, is my master control. I like to add this almost every time because it gives me a alternative gain stage. Here I can ride this fader. If I like the tonality, but I don't want, I'm suddenly going over a little bit, I could take this fader and I could back it down or even boost it up a little bit. So I like having that. And it's also pre and post here. Now, when you put it on a stereo bus, you'll see you have some parameters for balance and width, which again, we'll get into. It's just so cool. It works great on an effects bus, which is one of my favorite tips I'll show you in a minute. Let's take a listen to see how our bass tonality is shaping up. Here's before. This is without. And here's with it in. Now, if you notice, it's very subtle. It's capturing some of those overs. It's warming up the tone a little bit. Let's bring in our drums a little bit and hear the mix. Drums and bass. I like that. So, further looking into the InfiniStrip itself, here you've got manage. This allows you to load presets, save them, load bank, save bank, and you can reset your preset to factory defaults right here. And you also have some settings, some further settings, okay? And your presets are right here. You can select them. It comes with probably 172 presets right off the bat. And you can, of course, save your own and create them. It's just so flexible. I love how you can tone shape and customize the signal flow at any time. So let's keep having a little bit of fun here. I noticed that there's some acoustic guitars. Let me take the drums and bass out of solo. And let's bring our acoustic guitars in. Let me solo it here. I have it on an acoustic guitar bus. Yeah, right there. Let's take a listen to this. So as you can see, what I created here was a 70s preamp style into the precursor, into the FET compressor, into the channel Q, and then into my master control. Again, a custom signal flow with brilliant sounding processing. And you can actually swap modules in real time. Check this out. It preserves your settings. 80s, 90s, 60s. Basic gain. I think that's really cool. And you notice how it all happened instantaneously. No latency at all. It literally preserves your settings, and you can change the characteristics of the channel strip by swapping out the module completely, virtually, in this lunchbox style. The InfiniStrip is really living up to its name. All right, and then we have that going into the precursor. Let's swap. Let's see if we could swap out the compressor a little bit. Have a little fun there. Big difference. Did you hear that? Let's go from the FET to the VCA. VCA is very fast. Let's see. Let's try the opto. FET. I like the FET. The brilliance, the sonic characteristics is really pleasing. This guitar doesn't need to be warmed up too much, but you can definitely hear the sonic characteristic difference between those compressors as I scroll through them in real time, again, without any latency. Now, let's play the whole thing, and I'm going to mute the compressor, take it out here with its independent mute function to see what how that's affecting the processing. That's without. Here it is in. Let's solo it. So it sounds more level, a little musical, more pleasing. Again, really easy to use. Let's have some more fun. Let's get on to, let's see, that was our acoustic. And let's play that with the drums. We bring in our drum bus, our bass, and our acoustic guitars. Now for this style of music, it's shaping up really nice. But let's have a little fun. Let's bring in our vocals now. This is our vocals. I have it on the vocals here, but if you notice, it's not loaded at all. Together, you and I, we're going to custom create a signal flow chain just for this singer. And you're going to notice that these vocals need a little bit of work. Not performance-wise, but sonically. I think it's recorded a little bit thin. We're going to warm them up a little bit and add some sonic characteristics to it. Let's have a little fun. Let me solo these vocals. And you see I have it coming into an effects bus right here. Here it is right there. Okay, let's take a listen. I'll go to the very beginning of the mix where they come in right there.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still. Talk to you all through the nighttime. You know that I always will.
Let's start with a preset. Lots of vocal presets here. Let's go to this Opto DS because I hear a little bit of sibilance in there. Let's hear what this preset sounds like from the good folks at PSPaudioware.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still. Talk to you.
You notice on this preset, the auto is set here in the preamp gain. It's setting it automatically for me. It's kind of nice. It's like automatically riding the fader a little bit.
Anytime you'd like.
Here's without.
Anytime you'd like.
Here's with.
Anytime you'd like.
Let's scroll through some of these vocal presets in real time.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still. Talk to you all through the nighttime. You know that I always will. It's so strange the way it rearranges the pieces don't fit.
I actually like that smooth preset. Let's pop this in the mix real quick and see how that develops.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still. Talk to you all through the nighttime. You know that I always will.
Here's without.
Anytime you'd like.
Here's with.
Anytime you'd like.
Yeah, a little bit more presence. I like it. A little bit more posh too. But I think we could probably do a little bit better, you and I together. Let's start from scratch. All right. Now here in the gain section, I'm going to choose, let's go to the 70s. And I'm going to set my drive a little bit here and not bring any noise in, but I'm going to boost the gain up a little bit. I'm not going to ride the auto yet. Let's take a listen to this. Let's solo the vocals. Typically, I wouldn't be soloing so much, but again, this is about the process and the effects, so we can really hear what it's doing to our tracks here.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still. Talk to you all through the nighttime.
Now, one of my favorite new modules, I have to tell you, is the saturator. Check this out. This is going to really impart some of that analog, more of that analog warmth to it. And it does it right here with the shape button. You got a valve 1, valve 2, tubes, tapes, and some hard and soft clipping. One of my favorite settings is valve 2. Let's take a listen to this. And then you've got some settings here for limiter in your output.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still. Talk to you all through the nighttime. You know that I always will. It's so strange the way it rearranges, the pieces don't fit. Life's so confusing, the winning and the losing, but we're stuck with it.
I got some sibilants in there too. So let's A-B this one.
Anytime you'd like,
Here's without.
I'd make the world stand still.
Here's with.
Talk to you all through the nighttime.
Nice. And if you need a little bit more gain, it would bring in also impart some of that characteristics too from the saturator. You can simply turn the output a little bit. Just keep an eye on your ceiling here, okay?
Anytime you'd like.
All right, let's bring in a de-esser now. Here under special, we've got a de-esser. Now you can put this anywhere in the signal chain, right at the beginning if you wanted. I'm going to, let's see, I'll put it right there. And you've got your frequency selector for where it's locating its de-esser, your Q for your width, your sensitivity, and your range. And you also got a ratio, 2:1, 4:1, and how far you want to bring it over, and your crossover. Let's take a listen.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still. Talk to you all through the nighttime.
Let's see that stand still when the singer sings that.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still.
Seems to be good. Let's bypass it.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still.
Yeah, I seem to be nipping it right there, right about 2, maybe 3K, 2.86. So far we brought in a 70 style preamp here for some characteristics, a saturator to impart a little analog warmth, but I think we need an EQ now. So let's go to our EQs. I'm going to choose a retro EQ and bring that one. This is going to, you can activate and deactivate each one here. Maybe we'll try a preset for this one. Let's go to warmer and let's take a listen to it. And again, all I did is select down here and choose that preset. Now I've never heard this preset before. Let's take a listen.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still.
Here's without.
Talk to you all through the nighttime. You know that I always will.
Here's with.
It's so strange the way it rearranges, the pieces don't fit.
I like it. Things are shaping up really great. Now, if you wanted to further develop this, let's see if we could bring in a compressor now. Let's see, one more thing. I'm actually going to put this before the EQ here and before the after the de-esser. Now, opto might work really well, but the good thing again about it is we could scroll through these in real time without incurring any latency and having fun. All right, so let's try this. And while the singer plays on this track, I'm going to set the settings for us.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still. Talk to you all through the nighttime. You know that I always will. It's so strange the way it rearranges, the pieces don't fit.
Okay, here's without.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still.
Here's with.
Talk to you all through the nighttime. You know that I always will.
Now, one technique that's very popular with compressors is to have a series of them. One to do a little bit more heavy lifting and another one to not only impart some sonic characteristics, but to catch some of the extra overs. But why not do that? Look how easy it is. Let's bring in another compressor. I'll bring in my opto compressor. And let's go to the FET. And the FET's a little faster. So I'm going to put that one before the opto. Now, let me mute the opto, and let's set our FET compressor first.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still. Talk to you all.
You can see I'm knocking those down about 3 to 4 dBs right there. And let's set our ratio 4 to 1. Let's go to, I'll leave it on 4 to 1. And our mix is all the way at 100%. Attack's going to be a little bit quick on this one. And my release at about 200. Let's see.
Anytime you'd like.
Here's without.
I'd make the world stand still.
Here's with.
Talk to you all through the night.
Now let's bring in the opto. And let's see if we can balance it out even a little bit more.
Anytime you'd like. I'd make the world stand still. Talk to you all through the nighttime. You know that I always will.
There. All right, let's AB our mix. Here's without. The whole, we'll bypass the whole rack.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still.
Here's with.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still.
So we had some de-essing there, some analog saturation, some compression, and a little bit of warmth there from this preset on our retro cue. All right, this is coming out really great. But now another tip I want to show you, a really handy tip, is if you notice on my vocal effects here, I actually inserted PSP InfiniStrip actually, on my effects bus. Let me open that up and let me show you why. One thing I love about the stereo version of the master control, if you don't see it here, if you right click on master control, by the way, if you select master control, you could choose to remove it, or you can actually select it and drag it down, and there it is. So I should have showed you that earlier. That's how you can remove modules. All right, so let me bring in a module here, the master control. And again, if you want to delete that, just select it, right click and choose remove. But what I want to show you here is this width knob. This is brilliant. It really, really will help carve out space with my effects. I'm going to use this width knob to throw my reverb a little bit more hard left and right and keep the meat of and body of the vocals right in the middle. And I'm going to first bring it all the way down to 0, which is going to give you a mono effect, and slowly increase it up from there.
Anytime you'd like, I'd make the world stand still. Talk to you all through the nighttime. You know that I always will.
What a difference, huh? Here's without it. Let's go to a different part of the mix because we've been listening to that verse for a little while here.
And I've made tragic mistakes.
Here's with.
I've had more than I can take. Anytime you'd want.
Here's without.
You can always call.
Here's with.
Don't worry about the circumstances.
Now, it does change the way your effects are being presented, which it should. So you can go back and tweak your reverb settings a few, but that's a tip I wanted to show you. I think this works great on an effects bus. Let's bring everything in now so far, see how our mix is developing.
And I've made tragic mistakes. I've had more than I can take.
Now, speaking of which, we've got some heavy guitars here. Those guitars, excuse me, those guitars are gonna need a little love. Let's solo them and take a listen. All right, we could do better than that. Let's bring in a little bit of an 80s preamp here. This would be more that transformerless style. And let's, has the settings from my last, from where I put it last time. Already sounds better. Already sounds better. Here's without. Here's with. The 80s. I think I could just leave it like that. I don't have to, but I'm going to actually put I could do the saturator again. Why don't we do that? I really come to love this. I'm going to put it on valve 1. You may not hear too much of an effect. Let's take a listen. Well, it's important to understand that why you're doing this. It's nice to have an idea in mind. The reason why I chose this is just to really warm it up a little bit. It sounds a little sizzly to me. It may sound different to you where you are listening to this. So there are tools to help you process that. And one of them now is the new saturator module. Here's without. And here's with. Great. Now I'm going to add a compressor just because I can, a little bit to level it out, because when the attack comes in, it's a little bit too bright, and I want to increase the sustain a little bit of the chords that we're holding there. And while we're at it, I'm going to throw my master control. Now I can adjust the width of these guitars too. And I'm going to do that while it's playing back in real time with the rest of the band.
And I've made tragic mistakes.
Right there. I just boosted up about to 113. In the middle here at 12 o'clock is nominal. That's normal. All the way to the left would be mono, and all the way to the right would be extra wide. I just boosted up a little bit until it sat right and it felt good.
And I've made tragic mistakes. I've had more than I can take.
Now let's look at our drum bus. Let's open up the drums, and we were working on these earlier. Let me solo this drum bus, and let's have a little bit of fun here, because I love mixing drums. Now you can see we're using preset number 66 here, which is drum bus. Here's without. Now what you want to listen for isn't the level of things, but how it affects the low end and the high end, and how all of these variety of textures mix together again. I really like what it's doing here, especially with the limiter and the FET processor. Okay, now we'll bring it in. Limiter is going to help keep anything going over when you're pushing your drums. And in digital, you know, you don't want to, but there are ways to take advantage of that these days. You can actually use that to your advantage if that's the kind of tonality you're looking for. But right now, I really do like this. I think we could probably swap out a few things. Let's have a little fun here. I'm going to swap this out to a 90s preamp style. 90s. There's a 12-bit converter here. You notice this? This is great. It's really fast. It does something unique to the transients of drums, which I like. Let's solo just this processor. Okay, this is great. Here's without. This is without the preamp characteristics. And here's with the 90s style preamp. If you notice down here in this setting, we've got a boost of 2 dBs right here. Okay, at about 100 hertz. And over here, we've got a boost of 2 dBs at 200. I'm going to play with that one a little bit. You could toggle these bands on and off as easily as that. Yeah, that one really brings the kick drum out more. Listen to how the kick drum changes when I raise this 200 hertz. So rather than turning the kick drum up, you have the option of actually increasing that specific frequency. And it's all happening in real time with no latency. Let's bring this all into the mix and check out how it's developing.
And I've made tragic mistakes. I've had more than I can take. Anytime you'd want.
We've explored PSPaudioware's InfiniStrip quite a bit here, but of course the best way to find out is for yourself. I love this suite of plugins, and all I can say is check them out today. My name's Carlo Libertini. Stay busy and stay creative, everyone, and thank you for watching.